Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. You're listening to PHLY Flyers. That's right, PHLY. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games on this PHLY Friendsgiving Thursday, and we are joined by one of our great friends today. Not only am I your director of fun and games, not only do we have Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat reporter, Charlie O'Connor, but it is the one and only heart and soul of Broad Street Hockey, Miss Kelly Hinkle. What's up today, Hinks?
Little disappointed that neither of you is nude. We're streaking. We've gone streaking, and no one is streaking.
I was wondering what direction you were taking. And I'm like,
no
okay.
commitment.
Three in a row does...
it's a streak.
It's a winning streak.
Lou Brown, according to Lou Brown, 3 is the beginning of a streak, and they have won 3 in a row. I guess that's just where we have to start. Because this fucking team, man, they start a 4-game road trip by losing to the 0-10-1 San Jose Sharks. I am furious. I'm ready to just go. I don't care who Cal Peterson starts every game. 82, whatever. Then they go on to win the following 2 games, back-to-back nights, Ducks and Kings, 2 teams that had taken them apart in the previous weeks. Yep. And they round it all off with a solid victory in Carolina, the first time they have beaten Carolina in 2 years, first time they've beaten them in 9 attempts. It was November, I believe, 12th, 2021. The last time they beat the Carolina Hurricanes, it was under Alain Vigneault. Patrick Brown got an assist on the game-winning goal.
Wait, was that one of Alain Vigneault's last wins he coached with the Flyers? Because he got fired the next month, right?
It must have been one of the last ones because, like, their record wasn't terrible. And I'm like, oh, and then he's done pretty soon after that. All things I looked up for the post game last night. Charlie was unable to be with us because there was a concert at Union Transfer last night. And I was like, if this son of a bitch is literally right there, we're waiting. I'm waiting to see it let out, and then he's coming in for postgame. Don't care how drunk he was, but you were not at that concert.
Yeah,
I was
at the TLA.
Yeah, okay.
A little bit further.
Little further. I'll allow it. But just, like, right now, this team, what are they? Like, Charlie, I saw you tweet, like, I've seen a lot of "are they actually good" discourse. And...
I don't think it's the discourse I was seeing was not "are they actually good?" It's the Flyers really are good.
Yes.
Like,
correct.
I will say I do not expect them to make the playoffs. Right now, they have the same number of points through 16 games that they did last season. Right now is about when the wheels started to come off. They had a couple of runs last year that ultimately they finished 7th instead of like 3rd worst. But like... this team is just playing better. Yeah, they're just a much better to watch team. And I don't know if they're actually good, but I'll tell you, if the power play was just not a 0, like if it was a D, if it was a D plus instead of an incomplete,
if they were in double digits,
if Tyson Foerster had more than 0 goals, this team would be kind of good. Like, am I crazy to say that?
No. I mean, they definitely would have won quite a few of the games that they lost had they simply scored a power play goal or 2. So it's not unreasonable to think that if they continue this level of play and fix the power play, which honestly seems impossible to me at this point, since the power play might be like the nexus of the curse, because like a million personnel changes, coaching changes, system changes, everything changes. It's as terrible as it's ever been. So I don't know how you fix it. But if they do, they could be, a little something.
I think the power play is going to get better. Just because
it can't get worse, Charles.
I think. Well, but that's the thing. Like when I say it's going to get better,
they will score.
I don't mean that it is going to be good.
15% is still really bad, but also double what they are.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I don't envision a scenario where they finish the season at 7%. But I also don't envision. We've debated the power play a lot on the show. I don't envision it,
but it's possible.
It could happen. Yeah.
We debated the power play a lot on the show. And the point I've made before and I will make again is that while I don't think the power play is this bad, true talent-wise, it should be better. And Rocky Thompson, the coach in charge of the power play, deserves criticism for not making it better. However, just because it should be better than this doesn't mean that I believe that its ceiling is that of a good power play. Like, I think its ceiling is something like, maybe 17, 18% efficiency, which still ain't great, but it's better than this. And I do think it will get better. It will get closer to that point just because like they're going to luck into some goals here and there.
They could be mid.
They could be mid.
They got some tools.
I wanted to do the power play later on in the show because there's other stuff I thought was more important. We have done a ton on the power play, but I have here in the outline what they've done on the power play every game. They have scored through 16 games, 13 times they have gone without a goal on the power play. They have not scored yet this month on the power play. They have not scored in 8 consecutive games.
That is hilarious. They are 0 for November.
They're 0 for November. It's been 8 straight games going back to the last time they scored was against Anaheim on October 28th. They had this little stretch here, these back-to-back games, 2 games in a row, the 26th and 28th. They go 2 for 3 against Minnesota. Then they go 1 for 4 against Anaheim, and it's, all right, so it's not terrible because they'd only had 1 power play goal up until that point, and it was a 1 for 6 effort against Ottawa. So it's like, okay, they're figuring it out. 3 for their last 7. Something is going to come of this. And then they go 8 consecutive games not scoring a power play goal. Like, we talked a little the other day, and I talked last night with JP. Like, looking at Travis Sanheim's even strength and 5-on-5 scoring numbers, if he just had a couple of cheap power play assists to throw in there, he'd be scoring at the pace of Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
But they never score. And like, I'm looking at it like, okay, we assess the individual there. I look at the overall team and I'm just like, what would we think of this team if some of these offers were like 1 for 3 instead of 0 for 4? You know?
Yeah.
It's just, they'd actually be kind of good. This team might have, and like Charlie, there is a ceiling on this power play. Like, who's the quarterback? I don't know. It doesn't look like Sanheim can do it. Doesn't look like York's the guy yet, at least.
Yeah.
So who's the quarterback? I don't know.
Risto's coming back, baby.
Oh, maybe it's Risto.
They got a lot of running backs, no quarterback.
Yeah, they got net front. They do have net front presence. Risto coming back soon, so hopefully they get something out of him. But it's just it's just another. We've been running through all the ridiculous things about this team. They can't score when they have an extra guy.
Yeah.
Someone asked in the chat, is the penalty kill still outscoring the power play?
I think it's tied.
It's tied. All right, there you go.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's still 4. They haven't scored yet this month, so it's still 4-4. They don't have a shorthanded goal recently. So yeah, it's 4-4.
I love that.
Just absolutely. Of all the ridiculous things this season, this one might be the funniest so far. Just like, they have a positive goal differential. They're playing well. They look like a decent team, far better than I think a lot of us expected, Kelly notwithstanding, because she picked them to win the cup.
Yes.
I don't think you actually picked them to win the cup, but you do every year.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, you do every year. So.
Yeah.
But you also have to make your realistic prediction.
I have to be a professional, sort of.
Yeah, it's overrated. It's just, this team, it's fun to look at what they are and like, well, if they just keep building on it, but they have something at least fun right now.
They do. And the thing that's extra wild about the power play for me is that, like, we know how much of hockey is just luck. Like, people don't like to admit that it is, but like a large portion of hockey is simply luck. And they can't get a little bit when they have an extra guy on the ice. Like, no bounce off of someone's skate. Like, nothing. It's just, it's insane.
In a time in the game where it's just all like everyone getting the best possible position to score and the other team can't guard you man on man, it's like, no, we have literally no chance. I was joking around with JP on post game last night. Like, if they get a power play in the third period, it would be more beneficial for them to go, we don't want it. Take 2 minutes off the clock.
Well, it was funny.
What if you take 2 minutes off the clock?
I was watching the game this morning because I wasn't able to watch it last night. And when they got the power play in the third period and the announcer goes, and this is their first power play of the game, I was like, oh, that's why they're winning.
That's why they're winning. Yes. All right. Before we move on to some of the stuff that I wanted to get into, I got to tell you about our new partner, and it is AG1, the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. I drink it literally every day. I gave AG1 a try because, listen, I've told you plenty of times before, my life pre-PHLY was routineless. My schedule was different every single day. But now that I've got some normalcy back, I want to try to be at least a little bit healthier. I want to live long enough to spend the money that PHLY is paying me, quite honestly.
And see the Flyers win a Stanley Cup.
Jesus. If AG1 can keep me alive long enough to see the Flyers win a Stanley Cup, everyone should go out and get it right at this very moment. But AG1 is a tremendous way to kick off my morning routine. I drink AG1 every morning to start my day, and it makes me feel like I'm just doing something good for my body because I'm giving my body the nutrition it craves and just starting off on the right foot. 1 scoop of AG1 for me and some water, maybe even a little coffee. It's another podcast I listen to that advertises AG1. The host is like, my wife puts a scoop in her coffee. I was like, I'll give it a shot. Actually, not that bad. I'm getting my dog's breakfast and his medicine together before I've even taken a shower or anything. I feel like I've accomplished something, and that sets me up to like keep going through my day. You know how like all those rich people are like, wake up and make your bed. You'll feel like you accomplished something. And I'm like, that's dumb. I'm not doing that.
Nah.
AG1 is like something you can actually do that benefits you, that's not just wasting time making your bed. If a comprehensive solution is what you need for your from your vitamin supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/flyers. That's drinkag1.com/flyers. Check it out.
Yo, this is another sponsor that I actually use. Like, I am the target audience for this podcast. Somehow it's me personally am the audience.
See, we're doing a good job with our advertising.
Yeah, you guys are getting good stuff.
Yeah. It's nice to have like things that we're actually like, I'm not making it up.
Right. No.
Like it's actually cool. Like they
actually
sent us the AG1 and I gave it a try. I was like, oh, this is actually something I could do. Because like I'm not drinking like a protein shake or anything, but this is different than that. And it actually tastes pretty good, which is, it looks like the color of the ground, all those powders.
Yeah.
But like it actually tastes kind of good. So you're missing out if you're not using AG1, and use our little promo link that I gave you so we get credit for it, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. All right, so last night the Flyers beat the Hurricanes as we discussed.
We all predicted.
Yes, of course. First time in 2 years. Yeah. Alain Vigneault was the coach of this team the last time they did it, which doesn't feel like that long ago, but also, yes, it does.
Yes, exactly.
We've aged so much over these 2 years.
Yeah, that's one of those things that feels simultaneously like 6 months and 7 years ago.
Yeah.
They do it with a lineup that just looks a little different than the one we've grown accustomed to. Second straight game, Bobby Brink is a scratch. He is the lone member of the healthy scratches, with the extras being sent down before they left for Carolina. And we saw a swap between the 3 and 4 C's. We saw Ryan Poehling bumped up. We saw Noah Cates bumped down. I want to start with Brink and the entire rotational situation there. I don't think it's the end of the world if he doesn't play 82 games this year.
Yeah.
If there's such a thing as a rookie wall, we didn't even expect him to make this team. If he needs a day or two in the press box just to kind of reset, get back to the level he was at a week ago, so be it. However, they have now beat the Kings and Canes without him. And as we saw go down with Morgan Frost, all of a sudden team starts playing well, and you just kind of get lost in the shuffle.
Yep.
When do we go from, it's just a game or two to, this is kind of bullshit? Like, when do we flip that switch? Because I'm not there yet, but I need him to play at least once this weekend.
Yeah, look, I would rather Brink be in. Yeah. It's a bit frustrating to me that he's out. That said, and this was brought up on Twitter, which I think was a fair point, is that, like, compared to Foerster played a full AHL season last year, got some time in the NHL, played a lot of games. That was his first, big, a lot of games season. I guess you play more games in juniors too. But Brink was a college guy. College guys don't play that much.
They play on weekends, and that's it for a few months.
And even last year, he missed half the season because he had the hip thing and then came back midway through. So he didn't play a lot of games in the AHL last year. So I understand and I acknowledge that there might be value in pacing him out a bit just because maybe you don't necessarily want him to play 82 games this year because he's never played anywhere close to 82 games in a season, and at least anywhere at a high level. He might have played 82 games when he was a kid because he's a kid and they just want to play hockey every day.
He was on 6 different teams.
Exactly.
And just, yeah.
So I acknowledge that. However, I don't think Brink was playing bad. And this was my concern that I had with the Frost one, not the original Frost one. That was mostly just that I was annoyed he was out for 5 games. But when they scratched him the second time, the 1 game scratch, where it's like, he's not playing poorly. Why are you pulling this guy out? I didn't think Brink was playing poorly. I didn't think Brink was playing as well as he was playing at the start of the year when he went on that run and had people talking about possible Calder, dark horse thing. But he wasn't playing bad. So to me, I don't want him to be sitting for a week and a half after not playing bad. Because if he's up, I want him playing. So I'm a little frustrated. But as you said, I'm not coming with pitchforks yet. I just think that it would be better to get him in games.
This season, while we are off to a fun start, things are going well, we're learning about a bunch of different guys. If it's not about dudes like Bobby Brink, what's it about?
Exactly.
Well, the thing that's frustrating for me is that Tortorella keeps saying that it is, but then he keeps doing other things. It's extremely male behavior, where you say that you're going to do a thing and then you do a different thing. So like he keeps saying like, I'm prioritizing the kids. This is about develop, whatever. He says all the right things, but then like you can't, like every time a kid makes a mistake, like I'm interested to see if Zamula is out in the next game because he had that real big turnover.
He hasn't been playing that well.
We're going to get to Zamula. It will not shock me when he comes out.
You guys have said a million times that like you have to let them make these mistakes in the NHL on the ice if they're going to learn not to make them anymore. And if you're going to pull these kids out every time they start fucking up, they're not going to get better. Like they have to make the mistakes, learn from the mistakes, and correct whatever led to the mistake. And you can't do that in the press box. So if he's sitting for a while, like it's a problem. And you drop Cates down to the 4th line because he was, struggling a little bit. But like he's going to be your guy. Ryan Poehling is not going to be a part of this team in the future.
Yeah, the Poehling stuff is fascinating because on one hand, I agree with you that like when I'm thinking 3 years in the future, that depth chart that I have in my head does not include Ryan Poehling. No. However, he is only 24. He's the same age as Noah Cates.
I always forget he's that young. That's the problem.
And I want to
it's the mustache.
I want to group all these guys in because it's all the same conversation. Morgan Frost comes out of the lineup because the coach honestly just doesn't like him that much.
That's 100%
Bobby Brink.
Right.
It's like, okay, he's young. He's going to come out. He's going to get scratched. The coach really likes Noah Cates. So last night, and I don't know because I don't know how you watch the game, Charlie, but on the broadcast, they made a point of saying, and clearly they got this from the coach, right. They did not say Noah Cates got demoted. It was John Tortorella moved Ryan Poehling up in the lineup because he wants to get him going.
Aha.
This is a man with like 1 point. Now, listen, he scored, and I like Ryan Poehling. I think there's a chance he is what we think Noah Cates. Like, there's a chance he's it's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
24.
Yeah, like, they're the same age. Noah Cates, though, yes, he's got the details of his game, the defense, the small things. He's got 3 points on the season. He has gone pointsless in 13 of 16, I believe. He is producing absolutely nothing offensively. And while the defense and all that stuff, you watch how this team plays, team defense, clearly very important. Right. The culture of the little things, blah, 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 the details, all that is hugely important for this team because they can't win without it. They can't win on talent. But the third line center needs to have more than 3 points in 15 games.
I'm going to push back on you a little bit. And I'm not saying Noah Cates is Sean Couturier, so everyone settle down. But when Sean Couturier first came into the league, there was a solid couple of years where you heard a lot of Flyers fans saying, oh, he sucks. He's a 3C, nothing more. Because he wasn't scoring a lot of points. And Noah Cates is a very similar kind of player. So maybe we just need to let him get there. But again, you can't get there if you're not playing.
the difference being Sean Couturier came in at 19.
I'm not saying he's the same.
I'm just, no, I understand the comparison, and I do believe, like, Noah Cates deserves the time and opportunity.
Yeah.
Because who the hell else you giving it to? If, like, it's him or Ryan Poehling, it's like, well, who cares? What's the difference? Like, give it to Cates then. But Couturier came in at 19 and had a role on a good team right away. Noah Cates is on a rebuilding team, and it's like, I don't know, man, score a goal.
No,
He's, store brand.
yeah,
Sean Couturier.
the store brand Sean Couturier.
He's 24.
No,
He's not 19.
Look, Cates needs to score. But I do think it's interesting, this Poehling thing. I want to dive into this a little bit because I think and I'm certainly guilty of this. In my head, I don't think of Ryan Poehling as one of the kids because they just signed him. He wasn't somebody they drafted. He's a guy they picked up kind of off the scrap heap because he wasn't tendered a qualifying offer and whatnot. And I don't think of him as one of the kids. But I guess he kind of is just as much a kid as a Noah Cates. And if Ryan Poehling, like, John Tortorella did this. He did it on Saturday. That was when he first moved Poehling up to play with, I believe it's Farabee and Lawton on that line. He got the second game yesterday, scored the goal. I think part of this is Tortorella wants to find out what he has in Ryan Poehling. Yeah. And look, like, Ryan Poehling very well might just be a fourth liner. That might be all he is. Honestly, that's what I think is all he is.
He's a good fourth liner.
However, maybe there's more. And I don't think it's a bad thing for Tortorella to be like, let's give him 3 or 4 games in the top 9 and see if there's more. And if there's not, no big deal. He can just be a fourth liner for his whole career, or at least his whole career in Philadelphia, however long that is. But hey, if there's something else there, maybe we can see if it's there. Maybe we can unearth it. And I don't have a problem with that. Like, Poehling, to me, I kind of got in the habit of thinking him as just, oh yeah, Poehling doesn't matter. Scratch him to get Frost back in. Scratch him to get Brink back in. Like, why is he playing over Bobby Brink? But there is an element of, hey, maybe I need to open my mind to the possibility. It might be slim. I may not even believe it. But maybe I have to open my mind to the possibility, like, hey, maybe Ryan Poehling can force his way in here and be part of this. Maybe.
For context, Ryan Poehling taken 2 picks ahead of Morgan Frost in 2017. He was taken 25th overall. Yeah, and let us not forget, after 1 career game, he was the all-time leader in goals per game. 3 goals. He scored a hat trick in his debut.
Your Calder pick.
My Calder pick, who then he's scored like 10 goals since then. But I'm just saying, like, there might be something a little extra there with Poehling, and I think it's fine to find out if Noah Cates is going to be the 4C. Maybe Noah Cates is just a fourth liner, and he'd be a damn good one. I'm totally fine with that as well. But I want to put this in the context of some guys get the benefit and some guys don't.
Yes.
Morgan Frost doesn't, and listen, we've heard it. Morgan Frost does nothing but score. So if he doesn't score, he cannot play. But it's like, well, he can't score if he doesn't play. But anyway, Tyson Foerster, we talked the other day, like, all of a sudden the details of his game are getting better. Like, he's, instead of, oh man, I got to blast the zone and try to cheat for offense, he's like honing in on making sure he's making sure he stays in the lineup even though he doesn't score. Right. But we keep hearing certain guys have to produce some offense. Noah Cates bumped down in the lineup. Wouldn't mind if he gets scratched once, twice. Like, do you think there's ever a possibility we see Cates and or Foerster scratched?
Yes. Foerster especially.
Yeah, look, like,
they just seem like both seem like Torts' guys,
they are.
And I think it's a real test of his bias that, like, Brink and Frost and these dudes are on the bubble, and it's like, yeah, Noah Cates has 3 points, but he's got to stay in for reasons.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I do agree, though, that Tortorella, like, they are his guys. He is biased in favor of them in a way that he's not biased in favor of Morgan Frost in particular, maybe not even Bobby Brink. But I think it's possible. Like, look, I've been very happy with Tyson Foerster's details. I've liked what I've seen in his game. I think he's made a lot of good plays. That said, like, at some point he has to score. And if he doesn't score, he can't be here. Because I'm sorry, like, I think I did an article yesterday for Die Hard members, and I was looking at every single player and their future fit. And I was like, look, I think Tyson Foerster, his stock is steady in terms of his future fit because I think they like him. I think Tortorella believes in him as a player. However, like at some point, he's got to stop pacing for 18 points over an 82-game season. And if he doesn't stop that, then he's not an NHL player because I don't care how good he is at the details. Like you can't keep around a scoring winger that doesn't score. Now, I think at some point he will score because I think he's talented, because I'm seeing the process be strong. And I think the Flyers are going to give him every chance to do that. However, there is a breaking point with Tyson Foerster. There is a moment where, like, if we get into December and he doesn't have a goal, they need to have a hard conversation internally of like, hey, maybe this guy should get sent down for a couple weeks to get some goals, and then we can bring him back up.
Kelly, how do you think, and like, we don't know Tyson Foerster on a personal level. He hasn't been here that long.
No.
Only had a cup of coffee up in the NHL last season. But in general, how do you feel about sending a dude down to find his game? Like a guy who showed us that he's an NHL player in his brief call-up last year, makes this team out of camp, if not on merit, at least on the strength of that. And it's like, well, we think he's better than Brink, but Brink's making it. So, but like, do you feel like that could affect him negatively? Like, if they were to send Tyson Foerster down, how would you feel?
I mean, like Charlie said, if he continues to not score goals, it might not be a bad idea, because I do think that getting reps in is important. Just like we talk about goalies all the time, I think it's important for goal scorers to get their reps in, and he will score goals in the AHL. I don't know enough about him, like you said, as a person to know if he would have a bad reaction to it. Like Wade Allison apparently had a little hissy fit when he got sent down. I'm assuming he's over it now. I think he's playing better.
I would hope so.
Yeah. But like, you know, maybe Foerster would take it poorly. Maybe he wouldn't. If it were me, I would rather go play games than sit in the press box. So if those are the options, I think it would be better to get him up to Allentown to score a few goals and maybe get his swagger back a little bit. Because he was definitely one of those players, I think, that had a lot of, I'm a goal scorer, you know, swinging dick energy. And he's obviously not going to have that until he starts scoring goals. So, you know,
I think like a lot of fan reaction would depend on who the subsequent call up is.
That's fair.
Like
That
if it's Ollie Lixell, who everyone likes now, happy. If it's Cooper Marotti, who it's like, he's an AHL player, sad.
I'll be upset if it's not Wade Allison. I'm going to be honest.
It ain't going to be Wade Allison.
I don't think Torts likes him at all.
I think like part of the demotion was a test, and
he did not pass.
It was at least assumed he would not pass the test, and they got to go, oh, we were right.
Yeah.
Like, I do think that's at least
it's
a small part of it. Listen, calling all card collectors. Wheelhouse is our go-to sports card gift and apparel shop in the Delaware Valley. Their motto is cards and community, because love of sports unites us all. They carry all your favorite card brands like Topps Chrome Baseball and Mosaic Football, as well as t-shirts, hats, and hoodies from brands like Mitchell & Ness, 47 Brand, Junk Food, Starter, and Shibe Vintage Sports. Looking to grade your sports card collection? Wheelhouse offers PSA grading submissions. They also host tons of different family-friendly events and birthday parties every month. Stop in either of their stores in Wayne or Westchester, open 7 days a week at 11 a.m., and use code PHLY to get $10 off any purchase of $25 or more in store. Also, be sure to give them a follow at Instagram at Wheelhouse Cards. So go to one of their locations in Wayne or Westchester, use code PHLY, get $10 off any purchase of $25 or more in store. Love a good in-store discount. Back to the Flyers.
Flyers.
So we talked a bit about the forward situation, and I'm talking to Vince, and he's like, maybe they just need to trade someone, and eventually, yes. But
no.
I think that they like that this is a fight for playing time.
I agree. I do think they like that. The fans might not like it, but I think they like it. I wish
certain guys weren't in the fight that they're in. I wish other people were in the fight that they apparently are not. But I agree with the idea that this is a meritocracy. I don't hate that on principle. The defense, we're going to have some things happening real soon that are going to upset some people. If Mark Stahl can play in one of the two, at least this weekend, Igor Zamula is not going to play.
Yeah,
No.
he's going to sit.
I don't want them to, but moving Sanheim to the left might be the thing. But just on Zamula, his playing time keeps diminishing. He's not really he's the clear number 6 at this point.
Yes.
It's no, Nick Seeler too. We'll see. No, Zamula is 6, and the top 5 are a class ahead of him at this point.
And that includes Louis Belpedio.
It does. Louis Belpedio's been good.
He's been fine.
He's been good. I have his numbers somewhere.
like him.
He's 3 points in his last 6 games or something. A couple of goals. He's been pretty good.
I like him.
Louis Belpedio could be worse. And he's right now, until Risto gets back, one of the only 2 other righties. If they want to just make this thing work lefty-righty, Louis Belpedio might be in the everyday lineup.
I would assume that Louis Belpedio goes down one because they can't.
One would have
because
to
they
assume.
can't send.
They can't keep 9 defensemen.
They can't send Zamula down without waiving him. I don't think they want to waive him, even though Zamula, and we'll get into this in a sec, has been playing super well recently. So to me, Belpedio goes down once one of or both of Stahl and Risto are back. It's interesting though that you bring up the idea of moving Sanheim to the left, because I understand.
I don't want to.
I understand where you're coming from, where it's okay, once Risto's back, then suddenly, you've got Walker, you got Risto. You don't need Sanheim playing the right side. And they don't have, especially with York kind of being you don't really have that clear-cut number 1 left-handed shooting defenseman. Sanheim would be that guy. I was thinking about this because going back to last year, the LA Kings had a glut of young right-handed shooting defensemen. That's one of the reasons why Shawn Walker ultimately got moved. But they did, at times last year, use Shawn Walker on the left side. It would be fascinating if they move Walker up and they have a righty playing the left and a lefty playing the right. It would be funny.
I would love it so much.
I need it to happen.
I honestly, just trying to, I'm trying to figure out what the right combination is, and I'm unable to crack this code.
Yeah.
I'm just moving stuff around, and I'm I have several different combinations written down for us to discuss, and honestly, I can't figure out what the right call is.
Right.
The easiest thing to me, is Sanheim Walker, but Charlie suggesting that they play the opposite sides.
Walker Sanheim.
It's basically a power play, but all the time where you're playing on the opposite sides. Yeah. Sanheim Walker, York Risto, and then some Stahl, Zamula, Seeler, Belpedio, maybe because he's a righty sort of thing. But what do you think they're gonna do? If you just, and it's John Tortorella and the Flyers, so it's actually we signed an animal to play defense. Frank the animal? No, a turkey for Thanksgiving. Yeah.
I would be surprised if Risto wasn't on the top pair when he gets back. Really?
I would be. So there was an interesting little aside.
Oh.
That I kind of regret not pushing Torts on it. I don't think he would have given anything, but it would have just made it a little bit more of a thing. This was, I believe, it was the last day they practiced in Voorhees. So that would have been Tuesday. We were talking to him about this idea of mentoring and the defenseman mentoring people and having, showing a good example for the kids. And I think it was Jackie, the new Inquirer writer, basically said even just having Mark Stahl and Ristolainen on the ice, does that help in terms of mentoring the kids, even if they're not yet in games? And Torts basically didn't really yell at her, but basically said I'm not even going to go down that road because I don't he was kind of implying that one or both of them are not being great mentors, and I don't think it's Stahl. So I kind of wonder if like they might be a little annoyed with Risto. I might be making this up, but if you go back and listen to the interview, it's clear that like Torts wants to tear into somebody or tear into a concept and decided not to.
And it's hard to believe it's Stahl.
Exactly.
That's his guy. He's here for this reason. And it's
I mean, to be fair, I don't want Ristolainen teaching anyone anything. He's still
he's not that good.
He's being taught still how to play NHL defense. So like, he doesn't need to be teaching anyone. Like, so that's a kind of a fair
I just wonder.
This is my favorite part of the rebuild is trying to get into the mind of the lunatic that is the head coach.
But it's just it struck me as odd, and also like I could see this because look, the Risto situation has been weird in that he was about to come back, then apparently had a setback, dropped off the face of the earth. Now he's back skating and thinks he's going to come back soon. I do wonder if there might be a little drama behind the scenes there. I just wonder because it very much raised a red flag hearing that non-answer from Torts, which is why I'm a little skeptical that they're not just, like you said, they're just going to throw Risto on the top pair. I think there's a chance Risto might have to earn his way back up the lineup if they're not super happy with him at the moment.
Like,
I like the idea of there being drama. So I'm just
gave
going to go with that.
I gave you what my easiest, I think the easiest pairings could be. But I kind of, as much as York has just been meh, I kind of just want to keep throwing these minutes at him and see if he ever. So York Sanheim stays. Then you go Stahl Walker.
Okay.
Stahl in your top four.
I mean, that's what it was before he got hurt.
Maybe not ideal, but it is kind of how they see him. And then Zamula and or Sealer with Risto. One of the two lefties, one of them's the extra, and then they play with Risto, who is a righty.
I don't hate
this
that.
is probably how it's going to go.
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
Yeah, you assume Belpedio goes down.
You have to assume.
And one factor in here, too, which, let me put it this way. I have a hunch that if they had more defensive depth a few weeks ago, that they may have scratched York for a game. And I don't think that York, I don't think we should look at Cam York as a guy who is like a Sanheim where, he ain't never coming out of the lineup. I think York is in a position where if he has a couple bad games and Torts doesn't think he's playing with the kind of aggressiveness and assertiveness that he wants out of York, that York isn't, it's not out of the realm of possibility that York could get, maybe not put in a rotation, but maybe get one of those wake-up call scratches that he gave someone like Morgan Frost.
That would be... I would not have a problem with it, especially if it's like a game,
That's the thing. A game.
But there's just defensemen playing better than him.
Yeah.
That's the thing is when I'm talking about a potential Sanheim Walker, it's not because I want York out of here. It's just listen, man.
Walker's been better.
He's been
really
considerably better.
Yeah.
His shift, he and TK's shift on the eventual TK goal last night, they killed it.
It was great.
They are playing very, very well. And that leads me to Shawn Walker. 16 games, 7 points, +6, over 21 minutes average time on ice, turned 29 3 days ago, which is the red flag in this conversation. There's not a world in which extending him makes sense, right? Because people are starting to ask me, is this going to happen? Are they going to do this? And I'm like, what does he need to do to get the extension? And my answer is de-age himself 5 years.
I was so upset when I read that in the outline. I was like, why would you put that into the universe?
People,
because
people are talking.
Historically, it's an extremely Flyers thing to do. I don't know if it's a Briere thing, but it's a Flyers thing.
I don't think it's as dumb. Look, would I do it? No. I would trade him. I would say this is found money in the pro rough deal.
Piece.
Let's get a prime asset because now
he's a first round pick.
Yes.
I don't think
a right-handed defenseman at the deadline.
Look, it would be freaking awesome if they could get a first round pick for Walker. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying that
Tanner
that
just
would be
went
awesome.
for a first.
Yeah, but he fights.
No,
Tanner Walker's a right-handed defenseman.
Fair.
and
he's
the
not
same thing.
Look, I think the Flyers, if they put him on the market,
they would get a nice return.
They should ask for a first round pick. And if somebody gives them a first round pick, fuck yeah, great job, Danny. But I don't think look, if they're going to talk extension with Shawn Walker, they should not be offering him a 6-7 year deal. That would be bonkers. However, and I did actually do that purposely, I could see them looking at Walker and saying
bonkers.
He can be the bridge to bonk. Where it's, okay, let's give him a 2-3 year deal, have him be a quality defenseman. We don't have a ton of right-handed depth in the pipeline that's close. They have Adder, but I think they're not quite sure what he is yet. And Walker can be that stabilizing right-handed shooting defenseman along with Risto. I could see it. He probably wouldn't cost all that much. Would I do it? No. But I don't think it's so dumb that I would eviscerate them for doing it, as long as it's a short-term deal where the idea is you can be a quality top 4 defenseman for a few years before Oliver Bonk is ready to go.
And with the cap going up, you can always trade him later. That said, I can't imagine his value is ever any higher than it is now.
That's the thing.
Like, you can always trade him in a year or two, whatever, but then he's a 31-year-old with a much bigger sample size of, okay, actually he's a lot closer to a 4.5 than a 3.4. Like,
And he's an expiring contract. So a team that's looking to load up for the playoffs, as long as it's not the Flyers pushing for the playoffs. But if a team's looking to load up for the playoffs, but they don't want to have a long commitment, they just want that rental because their cap situation is precarious in the future, Walker has that value. He brings that value as, he gives us our, another solid right-handed shooting defenseman, and we don't have to worry about the fact that he's on our cap for 3-4 more years.
This is going to be one of the most interesting decisions that Danny has to make in his early tenure. Like, I have this guy, like the Owen Tippett thing to me is a no-brainer. Like, obviously you don't want to give him $7 million or something, but he's a 25-year-old who coming off a 27-goal season. He's on the same scoring pace he was at this point last year, 6 goals through 16 games.
We took him with the second overall pick.
Yeah, exactly. Former second overall pick, notoriously in the 2017 draft. Flyers moved from 13-2 and got him. Yeah. Had nothing to do with Claude Giroux. There's Nolan Patrick never existed.
I don't know.
Like, to me, that one's the no-brainer. It's like, because he's 25. Like, extending the 29-year-old in the season in which you said we're rebuilding seems like you've lost the thread. Like, this team overperforming expectations is not bad to me, as long as, I've said all along, like the Jalen Hurts, keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
As long as Jonesy and Danny keep their eye on what was really important, which is 3 years from now, it doesn't bother me if they're a bubble playoff team and maybe they don't pick where we want them to pick, but it'll all be okay as long as the organization as a whole operates the way it should in a rebuild. Yeah. If they lose sight of that, now it's 2016 again.
So, like, also, if I'm Shawn Walker and I continue playing this well and I'm 29,
I want to hit UFA.
I know this is my last chance to get overpaid by some team that needs a right-handed defenseman.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So, like, why would you take like a 2-year, $4 million deal or something when you could hit the market?
He's getting 5 easy
in UFA.
In the year, like, 1, stars don't hit free agency anymore.
No.
It does not happen. 2, the year the cap's supposedly going up.
Yes.
And 3, like, you're a right-handed defenseman playing 21 minutes a game. You're going to get paid like you're.
And if he continues to have a good season, like,
you're a number 4 who's going to get paid like a number 2 because this is how free agency works.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Get the bag, buddy.
I don't know. Like, I guess where I'm at is I would trade him.
Yes.
But I don't think it's lunacy to consider resigning. At the very least, they should have a conversation with his agent and get an idea. A, does he even want to stay?
Yeah.
And B, if he wants to stay, what would the ask be?
And I honestly, after we had this conversation, I think it makes way less sense for him to want to sign than the Flyers. Like, I don't think it's the smartest thing for the Flyers to do it, but I get it. I think it makes zero sense. Unless it's a 6+ year deal,
no.
He should be like, no.
Yeah.
You can sign me on July 1st after I hear from everyone else.
I was going to say, that's the thing. Like, I'll come back in August
I'll come back,
if no one wants me, but I'm going to see.
I was a throw-in. I was just living in L.A.
Right.
Like, now I'm over here. I'm playing for fucking John Tortorella, but that's a lot of fun.
I think, in fairness,
there are dudes who like
I think he loves it.
There are dudes who really like
I do have this feature coming on him, hopefully in the next couple days. But I interviewed him for this feature, and he basically said, like, one of the reasons why it's clicking so quickly for him in Philly is because Torts is telling him to do all of the things that Shawn Walker always wanted to do. Be aggressive, pinch as much as you want, go out there and attack. And basically, like, I think he probably really likes this stylistic fit. Maybe, he can roll his eyes a little bit at Torts, because I'm sure everyone in that room rolls their eyes a little bit at Torts.
Like, everyone rolls their eyes at their coach sometimes.
I mean,
I'm sure there's certain times Bill Belichick says something and Tom Brady's like, are you fucking serious? Like, you guys have been to like 12 Super Bowls. It's like, I don't care. I don't want to hear this right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure it happens with all players at all sports.
But I think he likes playing under him.
Yeah, the guys who seem to take to it really take to it.
Yeah.
All right. This team has been a lot of fun to watch recently. Maybe you want to get in on some of that fun. They're going to be home this weekend, back-to-backs. That first one against the defending champion Vegas Golden Knights. I called them the LA Golden Knights last night. Sometimes you just say shit. But whether you want to see how good this team stacks up against the defending champs or you just want to see how awesome Vegas is, you got to do it with Game Time. Listen, buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you with killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee. You can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, so last night, about 50 seconds into the game or so, we see number one defenseman Louis Belpedio get the puck to Morgan Frost. Morgan Frost make a quick pass to Owen Tippett, and suddenly the Flyers are up 1-0.
It was nice.
Morgan Frost cashed his plus 154 over 0.5 points. That was real nice. But what was especially nice is he extends the point streak to 3 games. Suddenly, because Owen Tippett is scoring, it looks like Morgan Frost is doing better. And he will, in all likelihood, remain in the lineup because he is creating offense, producing points. I am very much looking forward. And maybe he just scores a point in every game for the rest of the season. Morgan Frost is awesome. Problem solved.
Love a point per game.
That'd be great.
That would be super.
Yeah.
Or more likely, there is a game in the very near future in which he does not record a point, at which time I will be very, very excited to see how John Tortorella handles that. We have spent so much time talking about Morgan Frost in this show because it's fucking insane. At this, I don't want to talk about Morgan Frost, but we have to. We have to. It is an interesting storyline. I don't know ultimately what Morgan Frost is going to be. I'm not going to pretend to be some prognosticator. I think he's a pretty good player. I want to see him play more. That said, he might just be bad. Who knows? Anything's possible.
I don't think he's bad.
I don't care how this ends. I am endlessly entertained by Torts and Frost. This is my Taylor and Travis. I love this so much. It is I'm okay, but Morgan Frost, when he doesn't score a point, what's going to happen?
It's just the devil on Tortorella's shoulder. This is my chance to get break back in.
Yeah, Paling 2C. What do we see? How do we see this going from here? And is Morgan Frost playing considerably better? Or is he just feeding guys who are scoring?
So I think he was playing well before. The guys that he was feeding weren't scoring the goals. Now they are. So he looks better. I do kind of think that the second there's a game that Frost doesn't have a point and they lose, Torts is going to be like, all right, there it is.
Yeah.
Bye. Well, bye, buddy.
But I put that in one of my stories that it's just his comfort move.
Yeah.
It's we lost and played bad, and Frost didn't have a point. Hit the scratch Morgan Frost button. That's his first instinct. Now, I think he, over these 3 games, has hopefully built up a little cachet. He's got some money in the bank.
He's made some deposits.
Got some money in the bank with the coach, I would hope. Especially because, I thought he was fine against Carolina. I don't think he was incredible. He obviously had the nice pass to Tippett. That said,
nice.
That's a hell of a shot by Tippett.
Yeah.
I mean, that was...
It's wild what happens. Tippett not finishing, has a breakaway, has an empty net goal, has another goal right in front of the net. All of a sudden, that awesome wrist shot. Oh yeah, I can shelf this shit from the fucking blue line.
Yeah. But I do.
It's crazy how that works.
Yeah.
I do think though that Frost played really well against LA.
Yeah.
Like I thought
Yes.
that was a fantastic game by him. And I would hope that, the next time that Tortorella is considering scratching Morgan Frost, he remembers that game. And he's like, oh yeah, this kid is a guy who I want to see more of. I want to see what he can become. I don't just want to reflexively scratch him at the first sign of any trouble facing the team. Because look, yeah, they're on a 3-game winning streak. I got news for you. They're going to lose some games. It's going to happen. Or they
This
won't.
team will never lose again.
Or they won't.
They're just going to march
50-50.
on to the cup. Who, Kelly, I think this is the most important question.
Huh?
Who gets the cup first?
Oh man, I guess it's Lawton.
Is it Lawton?
I guess it has to
Couturier's
be.
been here the
It's got to be
longest,
Lawton,
right?
right? Yeah.
He's the only one with a letter, but theoretically, it should be Couturier if they do.
Someone asked me this the other
got some
day,
time
and
to
I
think
was
about
like,
it.
"That's a good question."
We
for
are
Kelly.
really going down the rabbit hole, aren't we?
Listen, we do a show every day. Sometimes we got to throw in some funny shit. I think I have another read again. Oh yeah, so something about wearing jerseys and letters and stuff.
I love those.
It's very easy. Forget it. This is the FOCO read. I don't know how I'm going to set this up.
You were
tried.
getting there.
FOCO has the absolute best officially licensed gear for all sports and fandoms. Whether you're looking for team apparel for the season ahead, they've got overalls, hoodies, hats, sunglasses, bags, anything you need for game day. Or maybe you're in the market for some accessories, toys, collectibles, or novelty items for your man cave, she shed, or podcast set. You've got to use FOCO for all your team gear needs. FOCO always has our back for Philly sports, and they have yours too. Get the best gear around by using the link in the description of the show. And for all non-presale items, use promo code PHLY for 10% off. Shop at FOCO. I promise you, it won't be the worst place you shop online for officially licensed gear.
No, ma'am.
It's
That's got to be one of those things where when FOCO hears that, they're like, we're not telling you to say that, but we kind of love it.
You really shouldn't, but
It's
yeah,
true,
that's what we're going for.
I bet they've never sent out a jersey with a crooked number.
Anyway,
Just saying.
Anyway,
well,
y'all know who we're talking about.
shop at FOCO.
Shop at FOCO.
10% off, PHLY. I just have to, before I wanted to get this in today, I listened to it on the way here, and honestly, I was a little bit of an emotional mess listening to it. ESPN, The Drop podcast, it's Wish and Arta Ocal. They had an interview with Brian Boyle, and he's talking about Hockey Fights Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Have the tissues ready.
Oh, no.
It's really fucking good, but I do want to recommend that to everyone out there listening. It was Hockey Fights Cancer night. It's all month they're doing that.
Yeah.
A goalie can't put the ribbon on his helmet.
No.
But it's how we're supporting. We are supporting the Hockey Fights Cancer Foundation either way. Just a few minutes left in the show, and I wanted to leave time for this because it's kind of the sort of thing we might have talked about a lot on BSH, but we don't always have time for the wider topics on the show with the new format. But sounds like changes could be coming to 3-on-3 overtime. And I got to tell you, I don't get why they're trying to fix something that people like.
Why do they always do this? There's 10,000 things that every rabid hockey fan would tell you is a problem with the game and the league. And they're always like, yeah, but people keep circling back on 3-on-3. So
And it's not what it was. We all remember that
coaches ruined it.
Yeah, that's it. First of all, if you want it to be like it was, you should kick the coaches off the bench.
Yes.
Honestly, I don't think coaches should be allowed on the bench during games at all. They should be up in the press box like offensive coordinators. But anyway, if you want to fix it, no coaches on the bench.
Yeah.
That said, this might not be the worst thing in the world if it's like a half court violation, like basketball rule. In lacrosse, you have the half court, and then there's the box, and you have a certain amount of time to get it in the box. And if you spend too much time basically on the perimeter dicking around, it's a turnover. Say you can only circle back to your side of the neutral zone. You can cross half ice, but you cannot cross your blue line. That wouldn't be horrible.
I'm too old to learn new rules, first of all. But it's just could you just make it 10 minutes? Like, that's all we've been asking for. Could you
Yeah.
just make it 10 minutes?
I think that's the frustrating part, is that the solution is so obvious here. Like, look, it's so obvious that even John Tortorella has advocated for this. I believe John Tortorella's quote a few years ago was, just play 3-on-3 until we die, kill the shootout.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
That seems to be the real issue here, is that apparently everyone else in the world except me hates the shootout.
I mean, it's fun objectively, but it's dumb.
I don't get what. Listen,
I liked ties. Ties
don't-
were fine.
I had no problem with ties.
Like, they want to so badly avoid the shootout. That is the entire purpose of the. How do we? Because I think last year it was 69% of games, that ended in a tie in regulation, ended in overtime, did not go to a shootout, and that was the best number ever. If you want to get rid of the shootout, just get rid of the fucking shootout. I like it.
Boom.
I'm not saying get rid of it, but if the entire reason you're trying to change something people like is to get rid of this thing people don't, just get rid of the thing people don't. It's just the simplest goddamn.
It's up to
This
you.
is one of those, only the NHL could, how do we get rid of this thing people don't like? Fuck with something people like. It's insane to me, their thought process.
Another simple solution: take away the loser point. If you lose, you
At
get
least
nothing.
go 3-2-1.
Yeah.
That's the regulation wins. Try to incentivize a tie game with 90 seconds left.
You better
Both
go
teams
for
are
it.
like, fuck this. Let's get our point.
Yeah.
You're on the road and you have the puck. You're like, we did our job. We got a point on the road.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Get 3-2-1. You don't even have to get rid of the loser point because
Well, they should, though.
They should, but GMs will never vote for that because GMs would lose their jobs faster.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
they want the extra points to pad their stats and make it look like their teams are better than they
We
actually
didn't have
are.
a 70-point season. We had an 82-point season.
Yeah. Good
No,
at my
you didn't. You lost all those games. Those were losses.
Yeah.
But there just seems to be, if they did this, I don't think it's horrible. But if it's all about avoiding the shootout, I know how to do that. Get rid of it. And I like it. I don't want to get rid of it, but clearly you do.
Stop
So do
galaxy
it.
braining. It's just, everything has to be galaxy brained.
It's
Like, you could just make one simple little move, but you're zigzagging all over the place doing dumb shit that nobody wants you to do. And then you're going to change it again in 2 years because it's going to be stupid and no one's going to like it. It's just do the easy stuff.
the simplest possible thing is not even 10 minutes, 7.
Just add a couple more.
If this was 7 or 8 minutes, it would never go to a shootout. It's already at this point. I think I heard today the average overtime is 3 minutes and 20 seconds. They get about halfway through. If this was 7-8 minutes, it doesn't even need to be 10. It just, you'd never go to a shootout. Also, who cares if it ends in a tie?
Yeah.
Yes, ties
You're
are
keeping
fine.
the standings the exact same way.
Yeah.
We call 7-7-1 500. The standings are exactly the same, even though you've changed T to OTL.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
Ties were fine.
It has not changed. So I'm just
I do love that from one of the commenters. While we're at it, the NHL clearly needs to outlaw power plays. It's not working for us so bad.
Now you're on to something.
Now you're
honestly,
onto something.
listen, I said last night, I think the Flyers should decline it and say we will subtract 2 minutes off the clock, please.
Yeah, let's do that's a football thing, right? You can decline penalties.
Yeah.
Let's
Sure
bring
can.
that in. Yeah.
Decline in the power play.
Yeah, I don't want it.
No, we're good.
We're
We're
good.
actually much
Yeah.
better 5-on-5.
Can we just take
the
the
other team
penalty
has
shot?
less?
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason. Listen, we've explained it to them. The team's real.
We've tried to tell them.
The team's real bad at math.
They don't like
All right. Do we have anything else? Are we done?
I think we had a good show.
All right.
Nailed it.
And that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers for the day. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. You know what you got to do. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. Make sure you're following the podcast wherever you get those. It's all good stuff. So do that. Go to allphly.com. Read Charlie's articles. Become a diehard member. Oh, the 25th, next Saturday, a week from
Yes.
Saturday. We're doing it. It's a watch party.
It's a watch party.
New Wave Cafe. Flyers Islanders at 7:30, I believe.
7:30.
Oh,
is when the game
7:30
starts,
game. Yeah, there we go. We have the thing. Make sure you come out for it. You can check our socials for a link to register. Do not worry. There's no cover charge or anything. When it takes you to the Eventbrite site, we're just trying to get a head count. They're not selling you tickets. It's there's no cover charge, so just check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Charlie and I are going to be there. We're pretty sure we're going to be able to do our post game remotely there. But if we have to come back to the studio, we're staying the whole time. It's going to be great. Hopefully, Hinkle's able to make it out as well. All right, that'll do it for us. For Kelly, for Charlie, my name's Bill Matz. Have a great week, Philly.